Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have two additions. 7J, approve firefighter appointment, and 7K, acknowledgement of step advancements. Council have any other changes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shallon,
Second.
second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes, the May 18th, 2022 regular meeting. Is there any changes or corrections, clarification to those meeting minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
By Joe,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Is there anyone that would like to speak? Our public open forum is now closed. We do have a public hearing tonight. We will recess the regular council meeting and enter into the public hearing. Before us this evening regarding a proposed new 3-2 off-sale license at 1420 Main Street South. It is our intention that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak, please sign in on the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. Procedure is as follows. Presentation by staff, followed by questions of staff. Public input, raise your hand, recognized by the mayor, approach this podium and state your name and address for the record. State your comments and position. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to be heard. First, we will hear questions for clarification. Then second, public in favor of the proposal. Third, public speaking against the proposal. After everyone who wishes to speak has had the opportunity to be heard, the hearing will be closed. After closure of the public hearing, the council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not participate in the council's discussion unless a majority of the council concedes to hear additional information or questions. The hearing is now in session. This is a 3-2 license for out at the truck stop. City application has been received for an off-sale 3-2 beer liquor license. The $100 public hearing fee has been paid. Certificate of insurance liability, the workers' compensation documents, liquor license fee, and background check has been completed. This is all in your packet. Is there any questions about this application? This basically is about the same as what like Coburn's has and Isaac's North Star and a few other places in town that have 3-2, so it's pretty standard. Council doesn't have any questions. Is there anyone in the audience that has any comments or questions or want to speak in favor or against? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak in favor or against? Call a third time. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor or against? Seeing no one, any other?
I had just one question. 3-2 off sale does not automatically cover a Sunday liquor, so if they're selling it in the gas station side, are they still able to sell 3-2 on a Sunday?
That I'm not totally sure, and I don't think they can.
Okay. I just didn't know if the 3-2 was automatically covered under a Sunday
I
sale.
know with Coburn's, I don't think they could sell it. It's in the coolers, but they can't sell it
Okay.
on a Sunday.
Okay.
I may be wrong, but that's the way I've always done it, so. Any other questions? Okay. Our public hearing is now closed. We will go into our go back into our council meeting. Reports and presentations, city engineer report, Chuck?
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. For an update on the 2022 capital improvements project, contractor's been staying ahead of schedule. They wrapped up utilities on Phase 1, and they moved to utilities on Phase 2, so they're currently working on Willow Street. The street contractor is planning to come on site maybe end of the week, more likely next week, to start on street construction on Phase 1. Update on Industrial Park, they came on site yesterday to start cleaning things up, mobilizing back in. So once they kind of get things organized, they'll start with, or recommence work there. For the interpretive center site, there's some final wear course paving to do. We talked with Mark Lee, they had some damage with their bituminous plant with these last storms. So they're not sure on how soon they can get that back up and running, but they have that work to do yet. As well as we provided a inspection report for the erosion control to them for that site to get things cleaned up. There is some requirements for them to do that in a timely manner with monetary penalties as well. So we're staying close, working with them closely to make sure, try to get them to respond to that inspection report promptly. That's all I got on those three.
Okay, any questions from the council? I know last night I got a phone call, then we had one temporary water that blew off the side of the house and was pumping water everywhere, so do we call CNL right away, or is it the site manager, or?
Yeah, so if a homeowner has that happen, they can call any number on the newsletter on the left side, and we'll get a hold of the contractor. They have one guy that lives in town up on the lake, so he's their kind of 24-hour
He's the guy I gave him
Yeah.
the number to, because they threw the newsletter away and couldn't find any of the numbers. So I was just wondering if you were aware of that.
Yeah, that's happened before, actually.
Okay.
So.
All right, so, okay. Any other questions from the council?
It's Taco Bell building that's up on the interpretive center. That flew up, holy buckets.
Yeah.
Do they have any idea when it's going to be completed?
That, I'm not in the loop on that private
Got it.
construction as much as I am with Mark Lee, so
Okay.
that's kind of, I'm not in the loop on that.
Was that just the last couple days?
Yeah, I think yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Park Board report, Shallon?
Yeah, we met in regular session yesterday, 31st, right?
Yeah.
Have to remember what the calendar looks like. We talked about a couple of things that are action items here tonight. One of them being the camper cabins. The Park Board did recommend proceeding with one of them. We discussed redoing a tree planting match for some of the trees that are removed in terms of some of these construction projects. I think it was 50/50, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's up to $50, something like that. Is that what it was?
Half up to $50.
Right. So we all thought that was a fine idea. We had a representative from the Baseball Association with some funding that they had received from the 100-inning game. They plan to do a backstop at the field, some turf in front of the dugouts, as well as some mound and home plate work. And the reason they came to us last night was because with the damage that was up at the ball field, they want to kind of do it at the similar time and do some of those things then. We talked about some signage that is going to be going up in the campground, just stating that they're having a lot more traffic go through there. So for registered campers and guests only, gives the police a little bit more flexibility if there are nuisances and things like that to do a few things. And then the other item that is an action item. We got an update on the Sauk Center Youth Hockey Association contract, and have both of them signed it? They have?
Yeah, I received the statements back, but we're waiting on the hockey association, but they did verbally agree.
They agreed to it, and from what Vicky had told us last night, that they were really happy that we worked with them and trying to make it work for everybody, so.
Any other questions?
What kind of trees you gonna plant, Shallon?
What kind do we want to plant?
Cottonwoods?
It would,
It won't be all the same variety, I know
it's
that.
an incentive for the homeowner to maybe plant something if it's,
We do have a list of trees that are authorized,
I didn't know.
but, we're not gonna have one whole neighborhood be planting one variety of tree, because who knows when the next disease will roll in
Yeah.
and take care of them,
Yeah.
so
Makes sense.
we're trying to keep a little control on that. Any other questions for Shelley? Okay, we'll move on to action items. Resolution 2022-47, issuing a 3-2 off-sale license. This action is subsequent to the public hearing held earlier regarding the issuance of a 3-2 off-sale license to Truckers Inn, doing business as Truckers Inn. Any questions, last-minute concerns? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve resolution number 2022-47, approving the issuance of a 3-2 off-sale liquor license to Truckers Inn Incorporated, doing business Truckers Inn, located at 1420 Main Street South.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, 5 in favor, none against. 7B, Resolution 2022-48, authorizing sale of excess property in the parks. The city is offered for sale via the online bidding process old vending machines that are no longer in service, with the following results. We had one bidder, Mustafa Madeh, for vending machines for the total amount of $455. Any questions or concerns on that? Otherwise, I'll be looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022-48, authorizing sale of excess equipment.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, 5 in favor, none against. 7C, Resolution 2022-49, authorizing sale of excess property, Fire Department. The city will soon be taking possession of the new fire tanker that was ordered in 2021. This will result in the old tanker and 1996 Ford to no longer be needed or used. The city of El Rosa has expressed interest in purchasing the vehicle. Minnesota State Statute 471.64 authorizes governmental units to dispose of property to other governmental units without regard to statutory provisions, thereby allowing direct sale of the vehicle. Both the fire departments have agreed on a price of $25,000. If the city of Sauk Center agrees to the sale, the city of El Rosa will consider the final purchase at its June 6th meeting. Is there any questions or concerns about the sale of that fire truck?
Going to good use.
do we know when the new one is the new one arrived yet?
Joe, or it hasn't, or?
Hopeful for July.
So will there be some sort of a period where,
They won't get it until August.
Okay. For the public, so in case they didn't hear that, the El Rosa won't receive this tanker until we get our new one, so. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-49, authorizing the sale of vehicle to the city of El Rosa?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll
Motion by
second.
Shellen, second by Heidi.
Yep.
Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. 7D, accept resignation of firefighter. Chris Blank has submitted his resignation from the Sauk Center Fire Department due to other commitments. He is unable to meet the demands of the department. Chris has been a firefighter with the department since June of 2009. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Chris Blank from the Sauk Center Fire Department?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shellen. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7E, authorize execution of mutual aid agreement. The Sauk Center Ambulance Department has mutual aid agreements with other jurisdictions. The agreement with the city of Melrose is up for renewal. Ambulance Director Strufford has submitted the renewal for council authorization to execute. That agreement is in your packet. Is there any questions or concerns with that agreement? If not, do we authorize Strufford to execute mutual aid agreement with Melrose Ambulance Service?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Heidi, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7F, Resolution 2022-50, accepting airport fueling system grant. The city has been awarded a state grant from MnDOT Aeronautics to update the fueling system at Sauk Center Municipal Airport to be chip reader compliant. This will include replacement of the fuel pump system and the card reader. The grant is for a total of $45,089.55. The city share is $13,526.87. The airport fund has existing funds to cover the city's share. The grant agreement is in your packet. Is there any questions or concerns about that agreement? If
How-
not,
I just had one question. How long ago did we have what's existing put in? It doesn't feel like that long ago.
do you know, Ben? I can't.
I think it was like 2014 or 15, somewhere in there.
And we had like constant issues with it, didn't we?
Yeah, and the main driver behind this is to get chip reader compliant, where now our card reader has to raise the next strip on your credit card. And to be legal, you have to be able to read a chip card. Because technically, if anything went wrong and someone hacked it, we'd be responsible for whatever could come with that. So that's what sparked this last fall, to get it on the CIP and apply for this grant.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, is this, and maybe I'm way off base, but isn't there something with the levels of the, like, just some reading of that is going to be helped with this as well?
The current system,
You better come up.
we're getting deep into it now. So the current system, there's no way to actively monitor the inventory level of the tanks. You have to physically dip a wood stick in there and read the inches of the stick and correlate that with a graph and everything. And we just felt, considering it's 2022, we could probably upgrade that to something that is computer-based, gives us live updates on our inventory levels. It also tracks whether you would have a leak, stuff like that. So this ropes all of that together. It'll upgrade the chip reader head on the Fuel Master system, and it's also going to upgrade the tank stuff so that we have one cohesive system with hopefully less issues than we have experienced since it was put in.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-50, granting authorization to execute Minnesota Department of Transportation Grant Agreement Number 105-08580.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Shellen, second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7G, approved contract with Sauk Center Youth Hockey Association and Independent School District 743 for arena ice time rental. You have the agreement in your packet. Is there any questions or concerns over that? This reflects a 2% increase, if I remember right.
2% from year to year.
Graduating up 2% each year for 5 years. Questions, concerns? There wasn't also an increase in the number of hours that, from what they've been getting charged. And we brought that up to 400, so. If no discussion, do I have a motion to approve the ice time rental agreements?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second. Joe?
Second by Joe. Last minute concerns? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7H, Resolution 2022-51, accepting quote for camper cabins. The Park Board met and recommended that the city proceed with the construction of 1 camper cabin for the Sinclair Lewis Campground. Nightly, weekly revenues for the current year will cover the cost. The cabin will be a 12 by 12 with a 6-foot front porch. There will be no water or sewer, but will have electric. The city will obtain a lodging permit from Stearns County so that it can be rented. Quotes were obtained as follows. We have 2 quotes here for electric. Are they sharing this, or?
No, they just both came back with the same number.
Okay, so if this goes, we got to pick which one we want it.
Well, and we had talked about that last night too. I mean, if
Okay.
it does proceed, maybe depending upon what the timeline looks like or whichever one is maybe available at the time of doing it was one of the options that came forward.
Okay, all right. We got 2 quotes, one from Essler Electric, one from Beam Electric for $3,500 a piece, and then Steiner Lumber for the materials, and Steve Moore's Construction for the labor. Total bid price is $22,070. Questions, concerns?
I kind of chewed on this a little bit this week, and first I was questioning because I don't have the specs in front of me. We only have the KOA example, which says most units are climate controlled. Is there consideration for some sort of air conditioning unit or heating unit that is considered within the electric bid?
Air conditioning would be in there, it would just be like a wall unit since it's a pretty small structure. But we figured for that with the electrical to provide that. So AC is part of it, no heat though.
And then in a 12 by 12 unit, what's regulation for outlets and how many lights would be included?
There'd be 1 light and ceiling fan, 1 outlet on each wall, and then just a separate outlet on its own circuit for the air conditioner.
I just kind of
And-
was surprised at $3,500. That seemed a little steep.
So we've got like almost a 200-foot run of primary wire from the camper cabin to where we have to tie in, and that's currently $8 a foot for
Okay.
the wire. And that's with us trenching it, so
Okay.
there's like $1,600 right there.
Another idea that I had brought, and it was kind of last minute, I waited until after the holiday weekend, so I recognize it didn't get brought to the park board yesterday, but an idea was brought to me that if we could consider it, it wouldn't come to fruition until next year, but possibly venturing with the high school students to allow them to build something to spec for us, with either us purchasing the material so that the school is not responsible, or reimbursing the school if they're able to get a possibly lower cost of material. And I'm just basing this off of what they just posted on Facebook for advertising for bid for their 10 by 16 shed, which doesn't have interior wall, it's not trimmed out, there's no windows, it's just a 42-inch door. But there is aluminum siding, and there is roof, I can't think of the.
Shingles.
Shingles, thank you. So no front porch, no electric, that sort of thing. But if it could be done and possibly making it depending on how many we wanted, class of 2023 project, and they could have a little label on it or something that gives them a little pride into the campground space as well. So I thought maybe there's an opportunity to look at more ideas of saving some money. I recognize that it's going to be covered with the income of the campground, but if we can use any of that expense elsewhere, just an idea.
I think it's a good idea, Heidi.
There's
I
a lot of
figured this
logistics
up.
that are, needed to be,
I figured this up. It's $153.26 a square foot to build this. That's what we're paying. Is that, I don't know, because I'm not building a house, I don't know if that is high or low or what, but,
Joe probably sees it.
yeah, Joe.
I say that's pretty typical, actually, probably lower than you're seeing new home construction, but again,
But
you're
then
looking at
new-
materials and all that stuff that are in
And
here
new home
too.
construction, you'd have plumbing in there and everything. The other question I have, Ben, is this handicap accessible?
No,
What? It's not?
no.
Oh, boy, I don't know. I don't like that idea. Because you got to have the wider doors, and it should be handicapped accessible.
It would technically have a 36-inch wide door, so I mean, it would meet that aspect of it, but you're
Yep.
not gonna have that 5-foot circle inside the building with the beds and all of that.
Right.
Oh,
And there's no bathroom or anything like that. They have to go use the campground facilities.
Yep, yep.
I don't know if I mentioned too, I mentioned that the school had their minimum bid at $4,700 or $4,500 for their 10 by 16 shed, given no electric, no windows, that sort of thing, but I just feel
build
like
a
there's.
lot of them for that.
Well, I read actually, just kind of reading up on articles too, that there's been other cities that kind of choke at the cost of these. So are we being gouged because we're city and because the taxpayer has to pay it?
Yep.
I don't think it's necessarily right. I'll
Okay.
leave it at that.
I agree with you, Heidi, I do.
The one thing is it isn't really the taxpayer that's paying for it if it's coming from campground revenues. It's the people that are using the campground that are actually paying for it. So for an actual cost of the city, it isn't coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. The one thing, the reason why I know the school went and built a shed this year instead of a house was because Mr. Pearson is retiring. And who knows next year if they're gonna have someone that's gonna be wanting to, and he wanted the shed done before the end of the school year, so he didn't have to spend the last 3 weeks of his retirement working on a house to finish it up, because that's what he's done for how many years?
Right.
So that would be a question for next year, I think, if we decide to do it, but it would be something to look into. As far as this, yeah, I know our campground revenues are going up, but so is everything else. So I'm really not on board too much here to be spending $22,000 for a camper cabin. By the time it's up and running, it's gonna be halfway through the season.
And personally, I have myself been looking at camper cabins because we don't have a camper ourselves, and I don't really care to tent with, 4 family members and knowing weather, whatever. So I've been kind of comparing rates and what's available within anywhere in Minnesota, and it varies anywhere from like $50 a night to, upwards of 100, depending on what the utilities or what's available. What, without the coverage of the city, or excuse me, the campground income covering it, just to recoup the expense of this, how many nights would we have to rent that out just to cover itself?
And Vicky didn't have that information for us last night, but the range she had given us was 60 to 80 as a possible rental price point. And even if it's filled up for your entire rental season, right? I mean, you're going to be looking at probably, 4 or 5 years? I think I did a little bit of
Right,
math. And
to pay
right.
ourselves back.
I know it's a great option for the campground, but whether or not we wanna use our campground revenues on a, like you said, a 4 or 5 year payback, I don't know if that's worth it.
No.
Well, one of the questions I had last night, and the more I sat on it, the more I was really debating was, I mean, who's going to be turning it over and cleaning it, and how much extra time is that now going to be? If it's your campground manager, how much extra is that going to be adding to the workload to make sure it's clean, to make sure it's ready to go for the next person, to make sure that it, if there's any maintenance or anything that has to happen? That's one place that I was struggling. I think it's a unique enough thing, and it set us apart, and that's what the overall feelings were of the park board, but I don't know.
Any other comments?
What's the park board's kind of driving force besides this to pursue this as an option? Like, why do they feel this is needed in the campground?
I think I kind of came in halfway. When I started on the park board, we were already getting quotes and numbers for it, so I don't know what the,
I was on the park board before that, and we the park board basically said we'd look at the numbers and go from there. I had already, when it was first brought up, we were talking 2 camper cabins, and I had already been swaying against even doing it then, but I was willing to look at the numbers. And that's kind of where the park board went. I don't know. And then Shallon took over for me on it, so whether or not what their discussion was as a board, if they think this is 100% goal, or if there was any hesitation or not, I don't know.
I didn't sense any last night. I mean, nobody brought up anything. There were some questions about just where the rental point would be, and like I said, my reservation was in terms of how much time it's going to take to do the maintenance, or just the turnover. But I don't think there were necessarily strong opposition.
No, I don't think there was strong opposition. I think the main, thing that sparked this was just to put this on that one tent site that rarely gets rented out right by the road. So, I mean, it's not a big revenue generator anyways. And it just gives people another option, If you don't have a camper, but your family, friends do, and you want to go down to the campground together, at least you have an option to stay there. That was kind of the thought process behind, looking into this and seeing if it was feasible or not.
So this would be between the fish cleaning station and the shed, in that little
Yeah.
triangle piece?
Yep.
Concerns? Do we got any other discussion?
Well,
We have a motion?
if we rent that out at $60 a night, that's going to take 3,678 nights to pay it back. I'm against it. That's
10
too
years.
much.
No.
Huh?
Be like
No.
300.
Wait a minute, that was 22,070
Yeah.
divided by how
Say
many?
$60.
$60 a night. Okay, that's 368 nights. That's if you can rent it out every night. That's going to take several years to pay off. We're only open, 3-4 months during the summer.
You're looking at 120 days.
Yeah,
I'm also hesitant just because simply the cost of materials is so high right now. I mean, everything is so high right now. And we can't predict whether it's going to go down, but I sure hope it does, because it can't keep up with it right now.
And we did reach out to several contractors, and that was the only quote we got back on the labor.
yeah, that would take 3 years to recoup our money, and that's not even counting the labor of having somebody go in there and clean up every time somebody leaves.
And that's only, well, your numbers are basically if it's full, 7 days a week,
Right,
where we know it's more likely going to be like a Friday, Saturday.
3 day.
yep.
Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and then that bumps it almost up to 6 years. Do I have a motion either way?
I'll make a motion to not do it. It's too expensive.
Okay, we have a motion from Diane to not go with the camper cabins. Do I have a second?
I'm going to second it this time.
Heidi seconds. Any other discussion?
I guess I'll just be a little bit of a contrarian and say that, I mean, I do think there are not many of these locally. And with the quality of the campground, I think where we had went, as the park board was saying, that it gives something to differentiate ourselves just a little bit and make it something, I don't know.
And I understand that, but actually in a roundabout way, I think we already, with the splash pad and the fitness park, and I think we've already kind of differentiated, we're
Right.
different than the normal campground as far as things to do for right now.
Well, one of the things I had thought about too, just being a little bit on the fence, there is a nice space across the road near, like you said, the splash pad and things like that. If we don't do something like this, maybe even exploring, something to do with that space to be even a little bit more, I don't know. Because I was on the fence.
I'll just add to my second in opposition is not as a no forever. This is just, I don't think it's right for us at this time, and I think we have opportunity to explore it a little bit. That doesn't necessarily need to fit into the 2022
Right.
camper season,
Right,
personally.
but we can always look at it in the future, Shallon.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? I'll call the question. This is to deny doing anything with camper cabins for 2022. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
I'm going to say aye, but I'm,
Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 against. Thank you. Resolution 2022-52 authorizing installation of accessible parking sign. Main Street Dental at 304 Main Street South has requested that a parking stall in front of their establishment be designated as handicap parking for their patrons. The city cannot designate handicap parking if the stall is not accessible due to the lack of a pedestrian ramp. The stall directly to the front, north in front of 304 Main Street South, which is Geierman's, is located adjacent to the ped ramp at the stoplight and could be so designated. The council should also consider pedestrian safety when designated handicap parking and also review how many such stalls are already designated in the area. I know this has been brought up before. Ben, I'm going to come to you again. I think Vicky had asked you to see how many actual handicap parkings we got downtown.
Yeah, so we have right by the Palmer House on the corner, there's one there on Main Street. And then down by Jitters, there's a handicap spot down there. And then the other handicap spots would be in our city parking lots, just west of Corner Bar, and then like behind Mustang and Next Door Bar, there's a couple handicap spots in each of those, so. But as far as Main Street goes, we have 2 within that block, so to speak.
Okay, but they're on the opposite side of the street from the people that are requesting.
Right, on that stretch, that one block, there is no handicap spot on that side.
I know years ago, there used to be one right on that street on the north side by Geierman's. There used to be. I don't know what happened to that one. That one disappeared. The other thing is like Vicky's comment here that we need to consider pedestrian safety is if we do put one on that north side of Geierman's again, basically those people are going to have to be out in the street to get to the ped ramp to get up onto the sidewalk. And plus it's getting worse and worse, but people are using our parking spots to pass on the right to make right-hand corners, which is gonna put anybody in those positions more in danger. So we got kind of a double-edged sword here. We put it in for the handicap in that spot and take the chance nobody gets hit because people are violating the traffic laws, because there is no right turn lanes on any of that intersection. They're using the parking spots to make right-hand turn lanes.
That's right.
That southwest corner does get tight with traffic moving in and out of there, so it certainly would be a concern for someone needing a little more space to maneuver.
Right. So I don't know what the council, got more questions, discuss it. they've requested this before, and I think it never happened. It basically got tabled and never came back.
Was there ever any input from MnDOT regarding this request? I mean, could they have anything to say? I would imagine since it's Highway 71 and,
Right, they would have an opinion on it, absolutely. This was just brought to me early this week, so I didn't have a chance to reach out to MnDOT about it, but we certainly can do that.
Yeah. And if we need to, we can put it off one meeting and discuss it and get more input on how to handle that. And at the same time, talk to the police department
Yeah.
about
Good idea.
some of the traffic control issues at these intersections. Then I've had people talk to me about having accidents because they come to turn right and someone's passed them on the right and they run into each other, so it's getting worse than better. And I don't want to put a handicapped person in that position either, so.
Well, and that's assuming, I mean, people who are using the handicap spots and things have the vans with the exit, so it would exit onto the sidewalk potentially, right? So getting out in traffic wouldn't necessarily be an issue for everyone who would be utilizing.
No, but I would almost guarantee that most of them people that are got handicap stickers are probably either using a cane or a
Right.
walker, and they can
Right.
do that, so they're gonna be in the traffic side. So they're gonna be walking out in traffic. So. What's the council's wishes? Do you wanna approve a spot? Do you wanna table it? Do you wanna?
I think you were on with the maybe tabling it and getting a little bit more information, whether it be from police department or.
How we're gonna control that, so
Yeah.
have Ben get a hold of MnDOT, and we'll talk to the police department and see how they wanna control some of them problems
Good
we've
idea.
got,
Good idea.
and then bring it back at the next meeting.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, general consensus then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, that's what we will do. Next, 7J, approve firefighter appointment. With the recent resignation from the fire department, an opening exists. The fire chief Moritz recommends that the city appoint the next applicant on the hiring list. The applicant is Eugene Wittenbach II. Action requested would be to approve the appointment of Eugene Wittenbach II contingent upon successful background check. Do we have any questions or concerns about that appointment? If not, do I have a motion to approve the appointment?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shellen. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. 7K, acknowledgement of step advancements. The following employees will advance to the next step on the pay scale on the following dates according to the labor agreement. Jackson Zenzen will go to step 3 on June 8th. Dean Jungles will go to step 7 on June 13th. Nathan Reynolds will go to step 2, June 15th. Is there any concerns about those step increases? Do I have a motion to acknowledge those step advancements?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second. Motion by Joe, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, potential acquisition of right-of-way. The city road right-of-way on 8th Street South at the intersection of Getty Street is half width. The owner of the property at the southwest corner of the intersection is selling the property and has approached the city with the idea of the city purchasing 15 to 20 feet of the property. This would help defray his costs of purchasing property to the south of his for driveway purposes. The price would be $2.90 per square foot, with the total dependent upon how much property the city would want. And basically, this is just direction on if the city should proceed with possibly looking at that. Looking at the map, as you can see on there, to get his driveway on his property, he needs to buy property from his neighbor, which his neighbor is willing to do. But also, his lot actually goes out in, almost into our street, and there is no right-of-way. So what we're looking at is buying a section of his property so we can get a right-of-way, so if we need it for any purpose in the future, and I think that road is a little narrow anyway in that spot, so if we ever need to do any maintenance or upgrades up there, we'll have the room to do it in. So basically, we're just looking for direction to whether or not the city should proceed with seeing how much footage we need.
One of the things I'd be wondering is if the right-of-way that he has on his property is half, how does that compare to the neighbor's property? So if we're purchasing more on his, I mean, would we then be,
Well, right now, we have no right-of-way on his property at all, along that street. That blue line is his property line.
But you're wondering if that parcel to the west has
I'm
a
wondering
right-of-way at all?
I'm wondering if the rest of them in that neighborhood, how that compares to the rest of them, any,
Well, actually, that house to the left there,
Yeah.
when they did that lot, you can see the black line that they have right-of-way,
oh, okay.
where replatted, that's what it was. Yep,
Yes, yes.
yeah, okay. Right. It has been replatted, that's the reason why everybody else has got right-of-way, and we don't. Or he doesn't on his. So basically it would help him get his driveway on his own, on property by buying it from the neighbor, and at the same time, we'll be able to
Get it in, more in compliance with the rest of the
get in
neighborhood.
compliance with the rest of the neighborhood for any of our future needs.
The only problem I see is the way the street is angled when it was first put in. Now, where that blue line comes across on 8th Street South, and it pretty much matches up with the street going down toward Main Street. But the other side of the street, that should have been widened.
Well, and that's one of the things, we know past history, there's a lot of things in this town that aren't
Yeah, yeah.
straight. You know, we got, you know, we've got a lot of parcels that got 3-4 parcel numbers because all depending on which way you surveyed the town from
It's
because of the railroad.
kind of
So,
funny because this guy bought this property on the corner, and Roger was telling me, I think I own half their driveway. And I looked at the plat on it, and I thought, no, you own all of the guy's driveway.
right.
He's got no way to get into that garage.
So what direction does the council want to,
So is it both sides of the road that he's looking at selling some, or just
No.
on the
No.
8th Street side? I wasn't real clear on
just
that.
on the 8th Street side, just basically from here to the edge of the street? You know, for this right-of-way line, over.
It just makes reference to half width here, and I didn't know if it was this portion that
Yeah.
was on Getty Street that he was looking at.
Yeah, it's just the 8th Street side that we're looking at the property on, not Getty.
I think it's worth looking into.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it locks us in anything, so we may as well explore it and then we can decide whether or not.
Right,
Or with
you
the
know,
numbers,
there's-
final tally and some of those things.
Yeah, staff is just looking to get some direction from us on whether or not they should even proceed with looking at the potential acquisition of it. Not that we're tying ourselves to actually doing anything.
Yeah.
I think, is it general consensus then to
Yep.
tell staff to proceed?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. We'll then go to our consent agenda. If I can find it.
I don't see one.
We got scheduled claims on here. Looks like, scheduled claims of $82,620.35. And then paid prior to the meeting of $1,264.73. So for a total of $83,885.08. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items, just a Spectrum lineup change. Again, and you all have them in there. That's because they are franchised, so they need to notify us, so. Any questions about that? That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Shallen,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.